Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Oh, well, hearty good morning to you on this Thursday. Welcome into the JP Peterson Show. And no, I was not hacked on Instagram last night. Don't even go looking. But kudos to you, Shannon Sharp. That was fun. Good morning to you all. We got lots of football to get to, and it's a great day in Tampa Bay because Sal Palantonio, friend of the show, will be joining us at 10:30. Can't wait to talk to Sal Pal, fresh off his trip to Brazil and watching the Eagles. Well, maybe they're back. Maybe the Eagles are back. We'll see them in a couple of weeks. So we'll talk to Sal Pal about the Eagles, Fly Eagles Fly, the Buccaneers, of course. And we got lots of college football to get to, all kinds of fun stuff. And we'll say hello to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good this morning. I turned on First Take because I was like, I wanted to see if Shannon Sharp was going to make an appearance today. I know it's not his scheduled day, but it doesn't look like he was able to get into the offices this morning.
Oh, well, he's been busy.
He's not on the show. He's not on the
show.
Very,
very busy. He has. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've been living under a rock, Shannon had one of his, as he said, most intimate moments, and he's embarrassed. Played to the world on Instagram. No video, but just audio because whoever was doing the camera work was not very good. He obviously hit something on his phone he didn't intend to hit while he was in an intimate moment. But the conversations that followed with him and Ocho Cinco, if you want to go see him on Twitter, have at it because it's funny stuff. It is funny stuff. And kudos to Shannon for owning it, right?
Right.
He started to do the hack thing, but then he was like, nah.
Well, it wasn't him who said his account got hacked. That was one of his team members that just threw that up there to buy time or something.
Yeah, it's the instant agent reaction. Oh, you got hacked. And he's like, no, actually, I'll own it. But then the pictures got out. I'm like, I don't know. But funny stuff. Stuff. This is the world we live in, right?
Wacky.
Yeah.
Very.
You had to write an article on this. They asked you to write an article on this.
They did ask me to write an article on this, and I might have for a second put my face in my hands and just been like, oh Lord. But
your mom must be so proud.
I know, because my mom says that. So listen to this. You know how moms have that, sort of, they just know everything. And so when my mom goes through the Facebook feed of where my article gets posted and everything,
right?
She claims to me that without even clicking on the article, she can tell which ones I've written. And I need to get in contact with her today because I need to ask her, I'm like, if you came across the Shannon Sharp article, did you really think that your baby boy wrote that thing? That's what I want to know.
She didn't call you immediately after reading that one?
She did not call me immediately about it. So
I think that one might have. She's embarrassed.
That one might have slipped through the cracks a little bit, but we got through it.
Yeah, funny stuff. And you had to. So you obviously had to do research on this.
Yeah, and listen. When I'm working throughout my day, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts and transcribing sound and stuff like that on my computer. So when I happened to open that clip up on my laptop yesterday in my office, of course, my volume was on 100. And all of a sudden I start hearing said intimate moment going on. And I'm like, whoa. And I don't know if anybody next door heard me. I don't know. But
I'm just working here. I'm doing my job. This is my job now. Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, they're
you never know in this business what you're going to be summoned to write about. You got to.
So how did the assignment come down from On3? How did this work?
I mean, somebody just put it in the thing, and they were just having a discussion about it, and it was one of those oh, haha, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I got tagged start writing this up, and I was
Are you the low man on the totem pole? Is this how this works?
I don't know. It just happened that way. So. But you got to have fun with it a little bit.
Of course you do.
Run away with it.
It's just sex, folks. Happens every day, hopefully, for you. It happens all the time. And with all the recording devices we have over here, I'm shocked it doesn't happen more often. And have many of you been in that position where you you may be in that position, and you look over at your phone laying on the bed, and you're like, "Damn, I hope I didn't hit a button or something." Ever? Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's absolutely. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. Let me check that real quick. All right, we're good. Anyway, good for you to own it, Shannon Sharp. Good for you to own it, and now the world knows. And speaking of, we got a piece of audio. We got some really good audio we're going to run today. Tyreek Hill, of course, calling for the cop to get fired, which is somewhat comical the way he did that. But we'll talk about that. Kyle Brandt making the case that Mike Evans is the greatest Buccaneer ever. I don't know about that. I hate to say no, but I think he made a very strong case. He made a very, very strong case. So we'll talk about, some of us old schoolers, we want to hold on to our first Lombardi trophy in that whole group, it's hard for me to not go Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, just the defense in general. But Mike Evans as an individual, it's very hard to argue that he's not the greatest Buck ever. And he is far from done. As we saw on Sunday, Mike Evans, sometimes we talk about him like his career is over. He's on the downside. We don't even see the downside yet. He may, if he's on the back nine, he's teeing on 10. I mean, or 11, but it certainly ain't even 12, not even close. So he was fantastic. And to hear Baker Mayfield in the mic'd up segment talk about it, it's kind of funny. If you haven't heard that on the Bucs website, check that out as well. But as we move forward, and we'll hit Sal Pal with that question as well. Because he obviously has the perspective of history as I do. Not unfortunately you do not, Nick, but you will someday. We saw those guys play. We interviewed them. We know them. We know the whole deal. So, but as an individual, Mike Evans, that resume is going to be very, very tough to beat. No question about it. So we'll hear that from Kyle Brandt. And we also have a funny piece of audio. Gerald McCoy on the 2510 podcast, I think that's what they call it, with Deshaun Jackson and Shady, all teammates at one point for the Buccaneers, right?
All those players played for the Bucs, and that's just weird to say out loud.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and they got a great podcast, and they were talking about the famous "Eat the Dub" speech.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
The iconic. I said, blasphemy to defame Jameis's famous "Eat the W" speech, which was clearly better than Tebow's, no one will ever get more outwork speech. Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. Tebow's was so rehearsed. Hot take.
7-year-old Nick was fired. 7-year-old Nick was fired up to get to the park, man, after that one. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was fantastic. Yes. Well, they're different. They're great in their own ways. Can we just put it that way?
I much prefer Jameis. And this hit my timeline yesterday again. And in the interest of playing retro Jameis clips, I might have to play it here.
Yeah,
the
one
right after they won the national championship, and he's talking to Tom Rinaldi, and he goes, I said, if we strong, are you strong? They said, I'm strong.
It's strong.
You
got
strong.
That right from the beginning. You strong?
You strong?
We strong.
I'm strong. I said, then we strong then.
I miss him so much.
That's my favorite Jameis clip of all time. And he should be freaking starting this week for the Cleveland Browns.
He should be.
Especially after.
I want a Jameis Renaissance. Like, who doesn't want a Jameis Renaissance? Who doesn't want that?
I'm so rooting for it.
Especially over Deshaun Watson. Can't be worse.
So rooting for it. He's literally behind the what could be the worst dude in the NFL, probably. Like, from a play standpoint, not just a play standpoint, from a personal standpoint, especially as we just saw new allegations come out.
Yeah.
And also he's no longer in the division playing for New Orleans. Like, let's have the Jameis Renaissance, please. Come on. It's been enough that he's been sitting as backup.
Come on.
We can't get worse. It can't get worse, can it?
No, and we need the press conferences and the pregame speeches. He's given pregame speeches in Cleveland in the preseason. I mean, we got it's this is
he's like playing. He's just like the vibes manager right now.
Yes,
like he could be the vibes manager, and he can be the starting quarterback.
And he could throw it too. He can slang it. He can slang that thing. He's slanging it all over the place. We need that as a drop too. All right, so where do we? Well, let's start with the Buccaneers as we hit the damn injury report. Holy crap! I have it right here in my email. So KJ Britt was limited yesterday with an illness. William Golston's got an elbow. He's limited. Luke Gedeke shows up in the concussion protocol. Where'd that come from? Yikes. Logan Hall was at least out there limited with an ankle injury. Josh Hayes did not practice. He has an ankle, probably won't go this week. The one that may bother me the most is Kalijah Cansey has re-injured the calf injury. He did not practice yesterday. Ugh. Zion McCullum, concussion, he was out there and limited, so that's good. And Winfield has a foot and is not going to play this week. That's been kind of I've heard high ankle sprain. I've heard sprained foot. So I don't know how many weeks he's going to be out, but he's not playing this week. So of all those guys, I mean, listen, total speculation. I think Zion might make it back. I have no idea about Cansey and the severity of that calf injury, but it bugs me. Gedeke, I'm guessing, will be back since we didn't even really know about it. It's probably pretty light, but you don't know. Concussions.
You just don't know what the protocol.
Weird.
What the protocol thing
exactly.
is taken. You just never know.
Yeah. So good. Justin Schooley. Love you, brother, but yikes. Lions defense will get after your ass. But now they are not without their injuries as well. Marcus Davenport has a groin. Carlton Davis, shocking development on the injury report, but did practice fully as a chest injury. They've got 3 safeties down. Kirby Joseph has a hammy. Ifeatu Melifonwu has an ankle. He did not practice. Neither one of their safeties practiced. DJ Reader has a quad, defensive lineman. Penei Sewell did not practice with an ankle injury. So we're equal, but that's their left tackle. Lauren Strickland, another safety, has a thumb, and Jamison Williams has an ankle, and he was limited as well. So both teams banged up in this one. I don't know which ones are worse. It's a Wednesday report, so you just don't know. Long way to go for this week, but clearly injuries are going to play a huge part in this game. I mean, if both of the Lions safeties are out, okay. Now, that's an opportunity to get some stuff done down the field, which in my mind, I think if you're going to win this game, it's going to be a shootout. I'm taking the over in this one. You got too many key players on both sides of the defense that are both defenses that are injured, and you've got 2 really explosive offenses. And if you go back and look at last year's game, plenty of points were scored, and the Bucs left some points out there. So I think this is going to be a shootout, and I think the Bucs are going to have to execute, and whoever has the most explosive plays might be the winner in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, the thing I hate about this with all the injuries, especially on the Bucs side, is, they made quick work of the Washington Commanders, which was great to see. You get a 17-point victory there, and now it's like, okay, now I want to see you go up against big competition on the road, a team you saw twice last year, a team you gave everything that you could give at them in that NFC divisional round game last year. But now you're going to play without Antoine Winfield. He's not going to play in this football game. And so you have some of these other lingering injuries. No Kalijah Cansey. And Kalijah Cansey, remember, he was great in that game against Detroit last year.
Yes.
He really was like a lion killer in that game. Could not block him. And so, not having Will Golston in there, potentially Luke Gedeke, we don't know. Zion McCullum, like Tyreek Funderburg might have to start in this football game. Tavion Thomas may have to play this football game. Like, I was really looking forward to getting a good look at this Buccaneer team go up against a premier opponent in the conference and seeing how they match up. And unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, regardless of what happens here, know for sure, because they're not playing with their full squad. And I hate that because it's in week 2. And you expect not to have many injuries going into week 2. And like you said, Detroit's dealing with them as well. But that's the part that I hate here. And I told you this coming into the show, that I think this game is really going to come down to Todd Bowles. And it particularly what Todd Bowles does from a schematic standpoint defensively. Mm-hmm. Because we know Jared Goff has had his number. It just, for whatever reason, Jared Goff performs really well against a Todd Bowles coach defense. and what we do not need to see, especially with the injuries in the secondary, because I think those are probably more pressing even than Kancey because of the amount of them that you have back there. I don't think you need to drop 7 and rush 4. You need to go out guns a-blazing.
But
Whatever
he's killing you on the blitzes.
I understand, but I'd rather die that way than watch Jared Goff pick you apart and have a bunch of long drives. And then, of course, they're going to lean on their ground game, the 1-2 punch, probably the best 1-2 punch in the league with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I'd rather, die differently than just Jared Goff picking me apart and having those long drives where my defense is getting worn out. That's how I probably play it.
Typically, I'm with you on that. Typically, I'm with you, but he's just been so good against the blitz. And here's the other thing. I think the Bucs have an offense that can stay with the Lions. Like I don't want to get too over my skis here, but yeah, I think the Rams were beat up and they still moved the ball on the Lions in chunks. So, and it's basically the same offense. And Baker said this yesterday. He said when he was asked about, watching the Rams offense go up against the Lions, do you pick up something? He's like, yes, absolutely. It's the same offense. It's the same offense. And and Cooper Kupp had a big day. I think, all of the Bucs receivers could have big days. So this is where game management is so critical. If you're Todd Bowles and you're like, okay, we've got we've scored on our first 2 possessions. Amazing, right? It's 10-0, or it's 14, or we're up. It's 21-14 at the half, and we're trading touchdowns. At that point, I'm kind of like, all right, look, we'll just play coverage. Don't give them any cheapies. Don't give them any cheapies. Let them work the ball down the field. Hopefully, get a holding penalty or a sack or something here, and we'll just see. Who has the ball last might win this game. And I think so, but if you're just getting sliced and diced and your offense can't do anything, then you do have to go for broke and try to get some turnovers instead of letting them march down the field. So yeah, I agree with you. Todd Bowles is going to be critical in how he manages this game, but at least now he's got something. He's got an extra, couple bullets in the holster.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't make those analogies. Yeah, I can. We're all grown-ups. He's got some more ammunition now that he can say, all right, look, if we want to go toe to toe, and that was not the case in years past. And I think that you can lean on your offense to win games. So I think you can play it a little bit differently. But again, let's see how this game unfolds. Turnovers are going to be huge.
Yes,
it was 3-0 the last game.
I was going to say
that.
I feel pretty confident that Jared Goff is probably going to put at least 1 to 2 balls in harm's way.
Yes.
And contrary to what the Bucs failed to do last year, they need to find a way to catch those footballs. I don't care if it's a tip. I don't care if he just makes a mistake, whatever. And I understand that you're not going to have the most experience playing in your secondary in this football game, but somehow, some way, you've got to be able to get a turnover in this football game. You have to, because we saw in that Lions game, that was the difference, was Jamel Dean not getting an interception when you had that opportunity. And so if it happens to be Jamel again, please catch the football. Please catch the football. Don't be like Carlton. Don't be like Carlton.
Ka-thud. Or the ball goes ka-thud every single time.
Right.
Catch it with your hands. Try that for a change. Yeah. So I love this game. I love this game I think Kenneth McCleary is on the same wavelength here. Good morning to you, Kenneth. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction for the weekend. He says, even though it's not Friday yet, Tampa Bay 38, Detroit 35 on a last-second touchdown to Evans. I'll take that. I'll take that. I just think this might be a bit of a shootout, and I'm here for it.
I actually think the guy that's going to be the key in this game for the Bucs offensively is Chris Godwin, because we talked a lot about the sort of position he's playing in Liam Cohen's offense. It's the same exact sort of role that Cooper Kupp plays in the Rams offense. And did you watch Cooper Kupp on Sunday night? What he was doing to this Rams defense? I'm not saying Chris Godwin's Cooper Kupp. Okay, I'm not saying that. Cooper Kupp's in his own little tier in sort of that position he plays. But Chris Godwin, he's close. And Chris Godwin, he caught everything last week, okay? 8 catches for like 80 yards or something in the score. Like Chris Godwin, this is the 2021 and before version of Chris Godwin is what we saw last week. I don't think 2022 and 2023 was a true reflection of who Chris Godwin was.
No, we talked about that.
We talked a lot about that offseason.
The burst wasn't there. The breaking of the tackles wasn't there. And, as I always go back to that horrific cheap shot injury, he destroyed his knee on every ligament. And it was we knew that it was going to take a long time to get back to the true Chris Godwin. And this is it. And this is what we see.
And this is his position. This is his true position. And the other thing, too, is I'm assuming Carlton's going to play in this football game. And because I don't think Carlton's missing this game. Because remember, if you're Carlton Davis, this team traded you, okay? They paid you.
You go after his ass. You know where his weaknesses are.
Well, you know his weaknesses, but I actually think Carlton, there's a chance he shows up for this because we've seen it before in a Bucs uniform. He usually showed up in these big games where you knew he was going to cover one of the better receivers in the league. He usually showed up for those games. And assuming he's matched up against Mike Evans, I think that's going to be a very physical matchup on the perimeter is Carlton Davis if he's matched up against Mike Evans. And so I think that's going to open up a lot more for Chris Godwin to sort eat in this football game.
I mean, Carlton knows these guys better than anything.
Exactly.
Godwin, yeah. So
he's going to want to perform well in this game.
I like our chances. I like the Bucs' chances in this. Carlton can be had, and we know in so many ways, and assignment wise as well. So that's a matchup.
But also,
I'm looking forward to.
You have to keep in mind the availability of Luke Gedeke because if Luke Gedeke does not play, if you're Detroit, how do you not just say, well, we're just going to throw Aiden Hutchinson on that side? And again, if it's Justin Schooley, that has a chance. If Luke Gedeke does not play in this football game, that's going to change so much because I'll tell you right now, they ain't holding up on that side of the line against this Detroit front seven. It's just not going to happen. And in that case, there is not going to be a shootout because the Bucs offense is going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they do in those cases, but hey, what if Penei Sewell can't play? That's advantage Bucs. So so much of this
the Bucs don't have an Aiden Hutchinson on the other side either.
That's true. We have hopefully one developing in Yaya Diaby, who I thought played pretty well in the first game. Didn't get any sacks, but
he set up the JTS sack.
Yeah, that was going to be hard to do against that quarterback. He ain't going to get sacked a whole lot. Jane Daniels is special, and he's in the way he moves. I think he's going to be way better than Caleb Williams. I think he's going to have a much better year. And that performance against him, I think by the end of the season, is going to look pretty good because he's so good at what he does. So I think, so much of this game, we could break it down 8 ways to Sunday, and we will even tomorrow, but it's going to come down to injuries and matchups, because there's going to be some matchups available against second-tier players on both sides of the ball, and which teams take advantage of that. I mean, that's your NFL, folks. Find a weakness and absolutely exploit it to the max. That's what the good teams do.
And what scares me is the Lions won that game last week by the slimmest of margin, right, in overtime.
Yep.
And a lot of it was they leaned on their ground game, and David Montgomery, who's one of my favorite runners to watch because he's so he's like a throwback with how physical he runs. I love watching that dude run. But what scares me is Sam Laporta was very quiet in that football game. And more surprisingly, Amon-Ra St. Brown was very quiet in that football game. And Jameson Williams was the star of the show. And I told you, Jameson Williams is a matchup nightmare for anybody, the way that he can move and the speed that he presents. But I just got a feeling that Amon-Ra St. Brown's not going to be held in check for 2 games in a row. It's not happening. And I'll go ahead right now and tell you right now, I'll pencil him in.
And he's had his days against the Bucs.
Exactly. Sure. I'll go ahead and pencil that dude in for 100 yards right now. I don't think you're stopping Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm
going over on his prop, whatever it is. I'm going over on that. And I think there'll be opportunities on both sides for large props to be had. And we'll give you those tomorrow because we did so well this past week. 7 for 7 on props. Nice take. All right. Some other news around the NFL. Is Joe Burrow cooked? I mean,
a lot of people are starting to talk about it.
The whole, doing this on the sidelines in the huddle. I mean, you can tell me all you want. Your wrist is fine, but that tells me your wrist is not fine. That is, the whole picking up the Gatorade bottle. I think that's stupid as hell. But
that's just Twitter world.
Yeah, when you're doing this all the time, just trying to work it out. And look, you got scar tissue in there. That's something you got to do. You got to keep it moving and flexed as much as possible. But clearly, it's bothering him. And I saw Orlovsky break down their offense today as well. And it's important to note that he had his best success when he had 3 outstanding receivers. and at LSU and in the pros.
Yeah.
And the other thing he doesn't have anymore is Joe Mixon. And that dude has been underrated his entire life. For whatever reason, he just has. And look what he did in Houston in week 1. You don't have that. And you're in the shotgun 90% of the time. You have no running game. You have no threat of any running game whatsoever. And that's where Joe Burrow is at his best in play action passing. You sit him back in that freaking shotgun and they sit back and cover. Even Joe Burrow is going to have issues. And T. Higgins didn't play. Jamar Chase just got off the street, basically. He just doesn't have the weapons that he used to have. It's
just like we said last week, it's been so noisy in Cincinnati.
Yes.
All off season, and then you go and lay a stinker like that at home against the New England Patriots where you score 10 points, and they're just sitting, that offense just sit like they didn't have any confidence, like they never played with each other before, which was kind of concerning. And yeah, it's a fact. Joe Burrow over the last 18 months has not played good football. And the Bengals under Joe Burrow in this regime of Zach Taylor, they historically they don't start seasons well. For whatever reason, they don't have it together at the beginning of the season.
Right.
I don't know why that is, but it is a little bit of an alarming sort of trend. And also, they play the Chiefs at Arrowhead this week. Yikes. You can leave it at that. Yikes.
Well, I think it's a touchdown too. I think the spread. I love the Chiefs, and the Chiefs look so
and
good.
The Chiefs, by the way, they got their week 1 out of the way, and then like they had 10 days off or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like they were just chilling. Mahomes and Kelsey are hanging out at the U.S. Open, so unbothered. Yeah. Like the Chiefs to me are just like, after everything I saw in week 1, it reinforces my prediction that they're going to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl because they're still just in a league of their own, in my opinion.
Yeah, unless injuries derail them. The only reason I picked against them just is because 3 in a row is too hard and things go against you eventually. From a football standpoint, there's no way. It's hard to pick against them. They're loaded again. They got great coaching and they have best playmaker in the clutch in the game. So, but things happen in the football. That's what we know. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Sal Palantonio, ESPN NFL reporter and icon and legend, will join us as we talk Buccaneers, we talk Eagles, who will be here in a couple weeks. All kinds of good stuff on the NFL stage. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you have any legal questions at all, they will give you a free case evaluation. They'll either be able to help you or refer you to a great attorney. But those are the folks that know the local legal landscape, and that's important. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. It's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back at 3 with Sal Pal. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, get your immune system right, and get your medical situation and health all right at the Bay Area Modern Medical Center. They do things differently. They spend a lot of time with you. Our good friend Chris Lugo will join us on the show tomorrow, I believe. So love the folks over there, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. All right, let's welcome in the legend, the icon, ESPN, Sal Palantonio, NFL reporter, award-winning journalist, and overall greatest dude I know. What's up, Sal Pal? How are you, my friend?
JP, it's so great to be back on your show with you. It's been a while, but
Yes, sir.
When the Bucs are hot, you got to have me on the show because the Bucs
Absolutely.
are my home away from home, baby. Or my home away from home.
Well, you're busy, man. You've been all over the world. You went to Brazil for a freaking football game to watch the Eagles roll there in Brazil. How was that?
Well, Brazil is a total madhouse. I mean,
Yeah.
the district of Sao Paulo that encapsulates the city of Sao Paulo has 23 million people with no interstates, and the traffic is insane. It makes the Long Island Expressway look like a walk on the beach.
How was the atmosphere?
Beautiful. The people were beautiful. They were absolutely fantastic to us. They rolled out the red carpet to ESPN. NFL rolled out the red carpet to ESPN. I had first class all the way. It was a great experience for everybody. The stadium was terrific. The best moment I had was we were very involved with ESPN Brazil while we were down there. We were partnered up with them and crews and producers and translators and security and everything. And they couldn't have been more accommodating and nicer to us. And we were able to get some extra seats in the press box for the game for them because I really wanted them to experience it, not be in like the cafeteria watching it on closed circuit TV. So we got them outside in the auxiliary press box, and to watch them stand and to watch them put their hands over their hearts when the Brazilian national anthem was playing and for tears to be flowing from their eyes was just a beautiful thing. You know, it was to see the two flags on the field and the two anthems played and hear it and see the reactions of everybody in the crowd. Was everybody in the crowd sang in unison. It was just an absolutely beautiful, perfect, soulful moment.
Boy, that's so well described as only you can do, Sal Pal. Awesome stuff. And boy, what a night for the Eagles and a comeback performance that they desperately needed to set the tone for their season. And I don't know if Saquon could have had a better opener. Thank God I got him on my fantasy team. He looked fantastic in that offense. Are the Eagles back?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one good game, partially. Okay. The last time we saw them was down at Raymond James Stadium.
It was ugly.
And they absolutely rolled out one of the worst performances in franchise history. It was super ugly. So you just mentioned it, and I think that's the most important point to make, is they came back. They showed resilience and toughness. They came back 3 times against the Packers. Packers had to lead 3 times, and they came back. And when Jalen Hurts turned the ball over 3 times, the defense only gave up 3 field goals, just 9 points. So they showed incredible toughness and resiliency. But the bottom line is, it's not sustainable that Jalen Hurts turns the ball over 3 times a game. You know, in his last 20 games, and you guys saw it up close and personal there at Raymond James Stadium when the Bucs bounced him out of the playoffs. You know, he has turned the ball over too much. This has been a problem for years. You know, he's got, in the last 20 games, he's got 27 turnovers. Unbelievable. I'm sorry, check that. 29 turnovers, 17 interceptions, and 12 lost fumbles. JP, 29 lost turnovers in 20 games. Not sustainable.
Not sustainable. That's Jameis-like. Can't do that. That is, but
I guess that's the reason why the Browns won't go to Jameis. Even though we love Jameis,
I wish they would.
Like him, and Deshaun Watson has been so bad for so long, but I guess they're just, you know, Jameis is he's a guy who will give you a little flash here and there, but again, another guy who's not sustainable, right?
Yeah, it's turnover city, but the eat the W moments that are still iconic are just, you know, you just need more of Jameis. That's all. I love the man. All right, so now obviously Buck fans very interested, and we'll get to the Bucs in just a second. Here comes Monday Night Football, and you know, the Eagles and the Falcons, who were, as I expected, a little bit out of sync in week 1. And I think there's a lot of new in Atlanta. They got great players, but as I said, it's going to take some time. I love the coach, all of that, but it's going to take some time. And they looked out of sync against the Steelers in a game. The Steelers didn't score a touchdown and beat them, and Cousins looked awful. This Eagles-Falcons matchup suddenly very important for the Falcons in week 2 on Monday Night Football. What do you think?
Falcons have no shot.
Yeah.
No shot.
None.
No, I'm telling you. I looked at the film of that Falcons game. Kirk Cousins' mobility is compromised. The Achilles injury is still problematic. He's not driving the football the way he can. He can't move the way he can. Where was the play action? Where was the boot action? Where was the rollout passes that he's made famous? So I didn't see any of that. And they have good players. They have obviously a great young running back. Judon can play when he wants to, when he's paid. But you know, the Eagles are a touchdown favorite for a reason. They had 410 yards offense against a pretty good Packers defense. I don't think the Eagles are going to have much problem with the Falcons if Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over.
Indeed, I saw that coming.
He doesn't turn the ball over.
The great equalizer. All right, let's move on to the Buccaneers. And as you've expressed and I've expressed, I love this team to win the NFC South again. And Baker just looked fantastic. And you know, I think it's evident that maybe Dave Canales was holding back this offense a little bit last year. This Liam Cohen offense is much more multiple. The running lanes are there. It's very Rams-esque, and I think that the Bucs have a lot of great personnel to make it work. That was the most impressive thing for me in week 1 is how diverse that offense can be and will be, and how comfortable Baker is already in. And also the rookies. You had 5 rookies make an impact in their debut. That never happens in the NFL. I love this Bucs team even more. And I know it's just week 1, but they look fantastic. Your thoughts?
Well, let's talk about Liam Cohen. Well, you were drinking a pint or two over there in Ireland. You know, I was at $1 in the sweltering heat interviewing and Baker Mayfield, and I had a chance to talk to them on the side about Cohen's offense that we weren't allowed to put on TV until the season started. But, you know, I think the number one thing is you hit the nail on the head. They're much more multiple in the run game. You can see that already. You can see that Baker is going to have passing lanes. That's the key thing. And they are already looking like the Rams in terms of how they run 3 guys sort of in a layered concept, pass route concept, giving Baker really good options, giving Baker an opportunity to hit it the open man because not everybody can be doubled. So I like it. I like it a lot. But, and there's always a but, the Lions are good. The Lions are very, very good. Everything you see on film about them suggests that their offensive line doesn't make mistakes. Their offensive line is dominant, 1. 2, their running backs have speed and power. 3, Goff is very, very accurate with the football, decisive and accurate with the football. And they have 2 good wide receivers, 2 really good wide receivers, and maybe the most productive tight end in the NFL in Laporta. So they have a lot of firepower. And then Aiden Hutchinson had 11 quarterback pressures and a sack last week against the Rams. 11 and a sack. I looked at that game and I was like, man, oh man, I don't see how they didn't run away from the Rams completely and needed a last-minute touchdown, a last-minute score to win. So they're very good on both sides of the ball. Got a lot of talent, a lot of players. I guess if you're looking for something to attack, it would be Aaron Glenn's secondary is still susceptible. And the matchup of Evans against that secondary with Baker and with the rest of that wide receiving and tight end core.
McMillan.
Yep. I think that's where they can make it. Detroit's going to grind it out. And what you got to do, bottom line, JP, is you got to score early and make Goff throw the ball and go get him.
Yeah, I agree. This could be a shootout. I think both the Lions safeties, a lot of injuries in this game. It's going to tell the tale of what matchups to attack late in the week. So coaching is going to be huge in this game in terms of attacking those injured areas. Both Lions safeties, I think, are down or are on the report. So I do believe in Carlton Davis. Don't forget, he knows the Bucs receivers well, but the Bucs receivers know him well. So I do think it could be a shootout. And I think the Bucs, and this is the point I was making earlier, with Liam Cohen's offense and these tools, I think, Todd Bowles has to manage this game differently because he's now got an offense that can score with teams. So how does that work in the whole calculation here for Todd Bowles?
Well, I don't think Bowles's going to coach much differently. I think he's going to be a little bit more comfortable in terms of having some points on the board.
Yep.
Especially in this game, but you said it, JP, the great equalizer is turnovers by the quarterback. So that's what killed them in the playoffs last year. That's what killed them in the playoffs. There's no getting around it. And I think Baker understands that. And, they have a chance to get back there and get a win where they were, bounced out of the season last year. And that's what they got to do.
Sal Palantonio joining us here. He'll be here for Philly and Buccaneers in 2 weeks. That'd be 3 weeks, week 4. I have to ask you this question because all my commenters are saying you got to ask Sal Pal about our man, Devin White. Looks like he was beat out for that position by Nakobe Dean and suddenly got an ankle injury. What's the situation with Devin White in Philadelphia?
It's a mystery. Honestly, I don't have a clear answer for you or your listeners. I don't think anybody covering the team does. I thought Devin White was playing extraordinarily well in training camp. He was showing also off-the-field leadership qualities that had eluded him in his latter years there in Tampa. He had a Gadawana attitude, and he seemed to be playing at a very, very high level. And then all of a sudden, Nakobe Dean beat him out. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. They put him on the injury list at the last minute before Brazil with an ankle injury, and there was no indication of how he got injured.
Right.
Then he doesn't make the trip. Then Nakobe Dean starts, and Vic Fangio said yesterday that Nakobe Dean beat out Devin White for the job. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding this, and I'm interested to find more about it. I really am, because Nakobe Dean is one of those guys that can't stay on the field.
Right.
He's not the biggest linebacker. He's had trouble staying on the field. He was okay against Brazil. He played over 90% of the snaps, only had 4 tackles, 1 for a loss. The guy who really played well was Zach Bond. I thought he was the best player on the field defensively for either one of those teams. But, he played 99% of the snaps. That's also not sustainable. You can't have an inside linebacker, unless they're named Derek Brooks, staying on the field for 99% of the snaps for 17-game season. You're going to need rotation.
Yeah.
You're going to need extra bodies. The big problem with the Eagles that I saw in training camp, in the preseason, and the first game against the Packers was a lack of pass rush off the edge. They had no pressure. They had 2 sacks of Jordan Love, both by Zach Bond, a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
They had no pressure from any of their edge rushers. Jordan Davis was AWOL. Jalen Carter was okay. But as a unit, again, they did hold the Packers to just 3 field goals off of 3 Jalen Hurts turnovers. So as a team, they played well.
Sal Palantonio joining us here after week 1. Sal Pal, your thoughts on what we learned? Kansas City really, really good still. I think the 49ers look fantastic as well without Christian McCaffrey. The Jordan Love injury is big, obviously. But after week 1, what are your biggest takeaways?
Offensive line play for certain teams is much better than others. Kansas City offensive line play, very good. Eagles offensive line play, very good. Lions, very good. San Francisco, excellent. Offensive line play, early on, talk about equalizers or difference makers. If your offensive line is big and experienced and productive and smart, like those teams that I just mentioned, you're going to do well early on in the season. That'll contribute to a lot of success. And if I'm Saquon Barkley, I'm having beautiful dreams of running off the left shoulder of Lane Johnson all season long, because that's what he did in that game. He was patient. He was smart. He let the holes open up in a way that he hadn't seen in New York with the Giants for years. So that was a big difference in the football games. Number 26 saved number 1 in that game. He saved his bacon, no question about it. Let's not mince words, JP. That's what it's all about.
We never do.
And it also it felt like quarterback play around the league in week 1 was a little bit all over the place. But I think one of the quarterbacks who was getting a lot of flack for his play, and I understand because he's a very polarizing figure, is Aaron Rodgers, and everybody was anticipating that return. How do you think overall that win, and what degree of patience do you think that Jets fans should have in that offense right now?
Well, I grew up in the New York metropolitan area. There's no patience. That's long gone. That's out to sea. That's long gone. I think they want this thing to happen yesterday. They've had a lost season last year. They didn't have a good game for the primary reason that they had problems last year. They couldn't stop the run last year. The outside zone run play is very good against the Jets defense because of the scheme that Robert Saleh runs. It's one of the reasons why teams were able to run. I don't know if you watched the Manning cast, but they had Belichick on before the game in the Belichick breakdown or something. It was on ESPN Plus. It was pretty cool.
Really
and
good.
Belichick was talking about the fact that the Niners can gash the Jets on the outside zone read play, and bang, there it happens with a backup running back. So, Rodgers wasn't on the field very much.
No,
he just didn't have enough plays to get into a rhythm. And that time of possession was super lopsided. The Niners controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The Jets' offensive line has been remade with some older players coming back from injury. Work in progress. I'll say this, though, man. I'm glad you brought the Jets up. At the Titans, at Tennessee, week 2, must win. Gotta have it. Got to have it. GTHI. Gotta have it.
Sal Palantonio joining us here. Sal Pal, I know you got plenty to get to. We appreciate your time each and every time. Thank you so much. You'll be here for the Eagles Bucs game, right? Is that on your schedule?
I'm not assigned that game, I'm going to take the weekend off and just come down there and play tennis with you.
Yes.
I'm going to buy a ticket to the game, sit out there by the pirate ship and watch the game, all right?
That's not a bad idea, my friend.
If I'm not assigned that game, we're going to run that right up to Jimmy Pitaro and say, hey, what are we doing? Come on.
What are we doing here? The fans at Tampa.
What are we doing?
The pirate ship will be floating and headed towards ESPN. There'll be a mutiny if you're not here. So,
with guns blazing, baby.
Cannons firing, baby, as Gene likes to say. Fire the cannons. Yeah, Sal Pal's got to be here. All right, partner. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on the show.
The best right there. Sal Palantonio. I love the Bucs and Lions shootout this week. I got it over. I think everything's going over. That'll be fun. We got a good one tonight too, in the Bills and Dolphins.
Yeah, on paper
that's
it
a
looks
must
like
see.
On paper, it looks like it could be a shootout, but these Thursday night football games just always scare me. They just always scare me. It's week 2. It is in Miami. They're pulling out the old, from your era, the old throwback jerseys tonight, the old throwback field.
Are they?
So, yeah, they got the throwback field, the throwback jersey. So
nice
for an old Dolphin fan like yourself. I'm sure that'll be fun. But
we need to get like a machine with hot dog wrappers in it. And the wind, because when you used to watch games from the Orange Bowl, you'd always see trash blowing across the field. The old hot dog wrappers would be blowing. The old Dolphin fans will be like, yes, it was like a staple to see the hot dog wrappers blowing through the Orange Bowl. And those old Bills Dolphins games were just, I remember going to one in 1973 where the Bills Electric Company, yes.
Did you say 1973?
1973. Where how old does that seem to you, my friend? I was 10 years old, and I'm up there in the upper deck, section 305 in the 305 Orange Bowl, watching the Juice.
Well, hell, that's not like 1973 to 2000 is not much more than 2000 to 2024. So when you look at that, but it doesn't seem like it's too far. But for me, it still does look like, wow, 1973 was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, when I was your age, that would have been like somebody talking about the 1940s. Oh, my God. It's like, oh, my God. Really? You were alive then? Yes, I was. And I was 10 years old, and me and my brother and my dad, we're sitting up there because, O.J. Simpson and the electric company was coming to town, and he was running. I think that was the year he ran for 2000, if I'm not mistaken. First 2000 in a 14-game season, on that turf, on that freaking turf, which was like concrete. And I mean, you'd have to, and if you landed on it, not only did it feel like concrete, but it would burn you as you slid across it. And old OJ against the old no-name defense. That was a battle, but it'll be a little different tonight.
A little bit.
Jim Kelly and Tua throw for more yards in the first quarter than the entire game of probably 3 or 4 matchups that season.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm looking forward to seeing how the Bills sort of, evolve as an offense here, because you're still kind of seeing who's going to be that number one receiver. I love that Khalil Shakir, man. He is so hard to bring down, and he's so small, but he plays so much bigger. And then Keon Coleman, I mean, best jump ball guy in the draft probably. Yeah. And you saw that on full display in week 1. I think he actually led the Bills in receiving. So maybe he's already wide receiver 1. And
can we get him back this weekend to play against Memphis, please? Please, can we?
I think Florida State needs a lot of players back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they do. So that'll be an interesting one tonight. And speaking of the Dolphins, so Tyreek Hill had the mic yesterday, and we've all seen the body cam footage, right?
Yeah.
And Tyreek, before this quote, by the way, said he was at fault. Well, not all his. He didn't say it was all his fault, but he said he could have done things better and been more respectful to the cops and followed their commands. Right?
Yeah. I was trying to get the because I wrote about this yesterday, so I was trying to get the real
Full
quote
quotes?
here. Yeah, I have it
Okay.
right in front of me now.
All right, go ahead.
He said, "I will say I could have done better. I could have been better. I could have let down my window in that instant. But the thing about me is, I don't want attention. I don't want to be cameras out, phones on you in that moment. But at the end of the day, I'm human. I've got to follow rules. I've got to do what everyone else would do. Now, does that give them the right to literally beat the dog out of me? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day,
I
I
don't
wish
think
they
they
would
beat
go
the
back
dog out of you,
and do things a
Tyreek.
bit differently."
I don't think they beat the dog out of you. Let's not, you were put on the ground and handcuffed because you wouldn't get out of the car. If you get out of the car when they ask you to, you wouldn't have been handcuffed and had the dog beat out of you. All right. And he's kind of recognizing that. So let's give him credit for that. But when it came to the subject of whether the cop should be fired, he was very declarative.
Come out and said that he's looking for the dismissal of the officer. What does that mean?
Gone.
So you want the officer to be
Gone. He got to go, man. Because in that instant right there, like, not only did he treat me bad, you know what I'm saying, he also treated my teammates with, disrespect. He had some crazy words towards them, and they ain't even do nothing. Like, what did they do to you? They just walking on the sidewalk. So I don't know, bro. Like, he gotta go, man. Like, it's not too many times that cheaters say people gotta go, but what they say on Wild and Out, gone. No comprende.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You knew I was gonna say something crazy.
Say something crazy.
Offense PR is like, all right, enough. Enough.
That'll be enough. It's a dude's career. I'd have to look a little bit more at his history as a cop, but he seems like a hothead. A cop seems like a hothead. I think he could have de-escalated it, but you can't. You have to start from the beginning, man. You have to start from the beginning. And I still haven't heard, like, how fast was he going?
I believe it was 60 miles per hour and like a 45 or something.
Oh my God. Seriously? I'd heard a lot worse, but
that was Pelissero said it was 60.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, come on.
It never needed to get to that point. And I think, to me, if you're having a real discussion about this, like, we can all acknowledge that the police officer in question here, and his name is Danny Torres, 27-year veteran of the Miami-Dade Police Department. We can all see with our eyes that the way that he handled this situation was poor. There was zero attempt to de-escalate a situation.
Well,
and
I will say this: he gave him multiple opportunities to roll down the window and get out of the car.
I'm getting to that. I also believe, if you're not willing to acknowledge that Tyreek Hill, because leading up to all this, you have to remember, Tyreek Hill got pulled over. I don't think the officer banged on his window. The officer knocked on his window because he didn't roll it down first. And then Tyreek says like 5 times in the video, "Don't bang on my window. Don't bang on my window." So you're already starting with this tone that he said it in, of like a very confrontational tone. I think that's a fair evaluation of what you saw. He gives him his license. He gives him his license, and then he rolls the window back up. Now, sometimes people don't like to see it from a police officer's point of view, right, but a traffic stop is the most dangerous thing that a police officer does on a daily basis. Would you agree with that?
Yes. You
very
have no
dangerous.
Idea what's coming at you.
You've rolled up a window, which, by the way, has a very dark tint on it. If you're the police officer in that situation, you have no idea what Tyreek Hill is doing in that moment. You don't know if he's grabbing a weapon. You don't know. So that's where
you have to assume the worst.
That's where the police officer's reaction, I think, comes from there. But then clearly after that, like, it got to a point where it was like, okay, enough. You got him out of the car. Like, he's not like throwing hands at you or anything like that. Yeah, right. He's talking and everything, right? But he's not throwing hands at you or anything like that. There's no need, probably, kneeling. The whole thing about, I'm going to put my knee on your back now and all that. Like, I've never liked that move from a police officer. I just think it just looks really, really bad, to be honest with you. And then when they're like, sit on the sidewalk, and like, you didn't even give Tyreek Hill a second to even sit on the sidewalk. You just immediately went, I'm going to go force you now on the sidewalk. Didn't like that whatsoever. And then the way that Calais Campbell and Jonnu Smith were sort of talked to in that moment, I think was way over the top.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you have a cop that just looks like he's on an ego trip. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it went completely off the rails. So I think there's blame to go around everywhere. And Tyreek did acknowledge that. And we'll see if the cop, I mean, he's on administrative leave right now. My gut probably tells me there's been so much public outcry against him, he's probably going to lose his job.
That's no 27 years on the force. I'd have to go review his resume, the cop's resume, because if he's a super bad cop, then 27 years on the force, there's going to be multiple complaints about him. I don't know. Did you do any research on that? Where his
I don't think I saw anything about any instances.
Yeah, I think, and if there were, we'd know by now, you know. And I listen, when you start the whole conference, the whole situation with that confrontational attitude, and then you roll up the window, what comes after that, you know, from a police officer standpoint, and you talk to one, you know, and I've talked to cops about this before, and there's protocols, and if protocols are not, and these are done with years and years of research and training of what you're supposed to do when X happens, when Y happens. This is what you're supposed to do. Yeah. It looks bad to us as lay people because we don't know the stats and everything else. But I know this, you know, when you're a cop and that window goes up and you can't see what's going on in there, that's trouble. That is trouble. And especially after the person's been confrontational.
Yeah, it comes from what I did speaking to a police officer, because I wanted to get their take on this to see it from their point of view. And he basically told me that, you know, Tyreek was not being compliant with the lawful commands. He legally has to step out of the vehicle when asked by officers. And he even mentioned there is a case that covers this in the Supreme Court. They can ask drivers to step out of their vehicle for their safety, and due to Tyreek's demeanor, officers had every right to remove him due to his attitude and conduct, leading them to believe he could be a threat. However, it's Tyreek Hill, and they knew that he was Tyreek Hill. And so the quote unquote threat isn't as credible because obviously he's on his way to a football game.
Right.
And so you have all that information. So, but he did acknowledge that the cop absolutely should be reprimanded and it should not be that aggressive.
He should be reprimanded. Absolutely. So. He should be reprimanded, and a suspension. Yes. Fired, which comes with, you know, could come with losing your pension. And all that is way over the top, Tyreek. So let's just chill on that. But needs to be suspended. There needs to be a conversation. Absolutely. Both parties were at fault here, but it started with Tyreek.
Tyreek's explanation, which, by the way, I understand. You're Tyreek Hill. You're a major athlete, especially in the Miami area. There's a lot of people walking and driving around. You don't want to be seen in that moment. I get it. But the cop does not care about any of that.
But my thing is this. Listen, if the cop comes up and he rolls the window down and said, "I'm sorry, sir, was I speeding?" You think the cop is going all in? No, he's going. I think the cop, and I don't know this, but I think the cop is going, "Mr. Hill, you were speeding. You need to slow down. I know you have a game to get to, but next time let's just, you know, keep it chill." Okay, thank you, sir. And he's off. I think that's the way this is going to go. Or worst case is if he says, "I'm sorry, officer, was I speeding? Yes, sir. We had clocked you at 62 and a 45. My bad. I'm late for the game. I just needed to get in there. I'm sorry." I just don't think this escalates. I think this is all right. Let's just be chill. I just don't.
No.
Worst case is, okay, sir, you know, we're gonna write you a ticket real quick and get you on your way. And then you just leave it. Leave it. You don't roll your window up. Thank you, sir. You're Tyreek Hill. Give it to Drew. Why are you being confrontational in that situation? I think, you know why? Because I think it's gotten so far and so out of whack that people feel like there's no respect for the cops anymore. There's none.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of trust between,
and I get that,
society and cops and society. I don't think there's a lot of trust between both sides.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
I think both sides go in.
That's
I think
warranted.
both sides go in thinking the worst, and I think we've seen many examples where, like you said, that is warranted.
All the more reason that you comply. You comply. I can tell you this: I've never seen a video of a cop coming up on somebody and the person being totally compliant and them getting roughed around. I've not seen that. I'm sure maybe it's happened, but I've never seen somebody go, yes, sir, no, sir. Here's my license, everything, and be compliant and have them, yanked out of the car and thrown onto the ground. I've not seen that. I've seen people not be compliant, and that happened all the time. But
I can only speak for like my experience. Like, I've been pulled over 3 times for 3 different things. And every time I get pulled over, like, my heart rate goes through the roof.
Of course.
I'm nervous as hell.
It's awful.
And you just it's just a crappy feeling. You're just a crappy feeling in general. But I can't put myself in Tyreek Hill's shoes. I can't. So I don't want to speak for him for what he was thinking in that situation. And I'm also, listen, I'm not black. And we know that there are a lot of issues there.
You're not. Yep.
There are a lot of issues that are real between the way black people are treated in this country from police officers.
100%.
I know people
100%.
love to turn a blind eye to that, but it's a true thing. So it'd be foolish of me to put myself in that situation.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's an unfortunate situation.
Knowing that going in, I would be more compliant. And by the way, I've been treated poorly too. And so it's not just, but it's definitely skewed more against driving while black. We know that's a thing. There's no question about that, especially in an expensive car, all that. It's part of it. And
if anything, the only thing you could do here is try to learn, turn this into a teaching moment. And Tyreek Hill did say that.
And I think that's what he's trying to do.
Will it turn into a teaching moment?
Well,
I don't know,
because the media don't want that to happen. And from the very beginning, he's tried to diffuse this situation, and I appreciate that. I said that right from the very beginning, but I didn't like him calling for the cops' job. I think, suspension, yes, there needs to be some discipline, but calling for his job, I think is out of line. But listen, I bet he'll be driving slower again. Where are you guys even driving, for God's sakes? Any of you? Why are you driving? Get a car. Have a car service.
Usually all players drive to the stadium on their own.
Yeah, because they want to drive their fancy car. I get it. I get that. And it's their right to do so. But I'm like, damn, if I was that rich, I would never get behind them. I like driving. I actually do like driving. And probably if I had a car like that, I'd probably want to drive too. But for the most part, I'm getting a driver. They're taking me around in a freaking town car, Mercedes, whatever the hell. And I'm sitting in the back seat on my phone. And I don't have to worry about a damn thing until I get there. So anyway, all right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hit some more of the college game. We got some big games coming up this weekend. We'll preview a lot of the NFL games. We'll talk a little bit of Rays because Nick's on. Are you even watching the Rays anymore, my friend?
Listen, you don't have to talk about the Rays because I'm on. I'll tell you right now. I'll let the cat out of the bag. I didn't watch a single inning last night.
Right. Well, this has been an interesting series against the Phillies.
Yeah.
So we'll dip into it. There's a couple things that the commenters want to get to the comments as well. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, folks. Listen, it's not just for the ladies. You men can get some great stuff at the Gold and Diamond Source. You're looking for a watch? They've got all the big brands there, and they've got used watches. They've got new watches. Great selection. Of course, the staff is fantastic. They'll find something in your budget. They'll give you some advice on some of the investments that can be made in watches and jewelry as well. That's stuff that's going on very heavy these days. So it's all there for you at the Gold and Diamond Source. Get you a nice necklace. Get you, maybe a nice ring. There you go. Let's get one of those. All kinds of cool stuff. At the Gold and Diamond Source for you guys. Cufflinks, tie tacks, all that. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3. Celebrate August with the dazzling green hue of peridot, known for its vibrant and refreshing sparkle. Yes, that's the birthstone of August at the Gold and Diamond Source. Explore the Gold and Diamond Source's stunning collection of peridot jewelry, showcasing the gemstone's unique glow and versatility in rings, necklaces, and earrings. Peridot's distinctive color makes it a standout choice for any occasion, adding a touch of elegance and charm to your ensemble. Enjoy 15% off when you shop August Gems online only. Stop by the Golden Diamond Source to experience the allure of August Gem and let their expert staff help you find the perfect peridot piece. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmsted Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the J.P. Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolantini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Extravaganza Productions.com. If you have a big event coming up, you got a work event coming up, you got a big birthday, you got a charity event, maybe you're doing it for a lot of years and you want to try something different, a different theme, well, go see the folks at Extravaganza Productions. They're the best in the business. They have a warehouse full of props that you can use for your event, and they have great creative ideas. In fact, they'll give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. So that's extravaganzaproductions.com. Give them a call, tell them JP sent you, and have a great event, a new event, a professionally produced event at Extravaganza Productions. Good folks over there.
Hey, real quick, can I tell you a quick story real quick? I meant to say it on Monday, and I forgot.
Sure.
It was something I saw this weekend. So on Saturday, me and Casey went to go get coffee at somewhere in Tampa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered the coffee, and then I go back and wait, behind, and I happened to look to my right, and you know who was standing next to me? Was Ryan McDonough.
Ryan McDonough.
I knew it right away. I was like, "That's Ryan McDonough." And okay, I didn't, you don't go crazy or anything, right? And I found it funny. This coffee shop was popping. Like, it was busy. It's a Saturday morning. Ryan McDonough's just standing right there in open view. He's there with his family. His kids are running around, like, just living their life normal. You know, and I only bring this up because we always have this discussion about how great it is to play in this city because we typically, especially with our hockey players, we don't hound them. You know, we let them be as they should. And it was like that. Nobody was saying anything. I didn't say anything to the guy, even though I was standing right next to him and knew who he was. And then there's always one, JP. There's always one.
Always one.
And this man was older, like probably around your age or a little younger. And I think you'd know better. But he's sitting there in his chair, and I heard him say it. McDonough got up and left with his family, and they went over to like his like golf cart thing to leave. And I heard him say to his wife, like, "That's Ryan McDonough. I'm gonna try to go get a picture of him." And in my head, I'm like, "Don't do that. Don't do that." And he gets up, and when I tell you, like, the McDonough was only like 20 yards away. He's sitting in his golf cart about to pull out. And this man, looking as like totally like not secretive at all, just puts his phone up like this and starts walking towards him, videoing him. I'm like, I had so much like embarrassment, and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why be so weird? I meant to say that on Monday, but I was like, we got to do better than that.
But the other part of that is like, at what point do you feel like, and I know even if they're celebrities, like, but they're like, if he's in his uniform or he's walking into the game and there's places where people are expected to videotape you, you know, and you're doing that, I get it. When he's with his family, like if you want to walk up and say,
why are you videoing his
big
kid?
fan, you know, do you mind if and don't have your freaking camera out pointing it at him, you know, just say, do you mind if, you look, if he's with his kids, the kids, you know, you don't know if his kids want to be videotaped, you know, his kids on your story. Nobody wants to see that. I mean, just to have some decorum about it. Most of the guys are more than happy to step out of the golf cart and take a picture with you, but don't be running up on them with your camera rolling. What kind of 60 minutes bullshit is that? Come on, like people. Like there still should be respect for privacy, even though, you know, some of these people are a big star, especially in Tampa Bay. You know, we're supposed to be better than that, right? We're not Toronto. We're not Philly. You know, this is why these guys love to play here, because we're like normal human beings. And we don't run up on you.
And like I said, nobody made light of the fact that nobody made light of the fact that Ryan McDonough was there. Maybe one dude walked by and like, you know, just gave him a fist pump and said like, welcome back, and kept it moving. Like that's it. Don't be weird. That's all that I had to say. Just stop being weird.
100%.
You don't do that in this market.
Let's hit to some of the comments here. James says, Nick, was this the coffee shop on Davis Island? Yes. Obviously he was in his golf cart. DI Coffee. You want to see the stars? Go to DI Coffee.
I'd always heard you see the stars there, and it did come true.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that because it's supposed to be, you know, private, but it is what it is. Christopher Cole says of the officer in the Tyreek Hill case, it's not a fireable offense for the officer because he was doing his job, maybe a little too aggressive. Yeah, it's not a fireable offense. It's just not. I understand it looks bad, but you know, also Tyreek was not the most forthcoming in his original interview. That he never mentioned. He's like, I don't know why it happened. I think we know why it happened. You started it. Rick says Nick pulled over 3 times. Heartbeat increases. Obviously, they didn't search their trunk for all that meth. Life happens. No judgment. Respect your side hustle. I think that we'll just leave that right where it's at. Yeah. Lonnie says maybe if Tyreek had some grit and glow, baby, he should skateboard to the games. Lonnie and I are on the same page of that whole ridiculousness. I think they really did capture the whole culture of that humongous skateboard crowd at the Rays. So while we're talking about the Rays, Lonnie does mention that they're shutting down lots 6 and 7 next year for construction. Yeah, all those surface lots that most of you park at for Rays games are going away for construction. And they're going to be replaced by 2 parking garages. You know why parking garages? Nobody builds parking garages for stadiums unless it's in New York, Manhattan.
I mean, they are a nightmare to get
They're
out
a
of.
nightmare. There's only so many exit points that you can get out of, and people are pulling in and out of the space. It's a nightmare. You can't do it. That is going to be such a disaster down there.
They're pulling. I had to look it up on the map to know which ones were lot 6 and 7. They're moving both. They're taking both those out.
Yeah.
Lot 6 and 7. Those are the main 2 parking lots.
Yes. All the parking is going to be on the west side of the stadium, where it used to be just reserved parking and media lots. There's a couple of some big areas there, but it's not going to be close. And what they're charging for parking next year, like season parking is like $250.
I remember the days where you used to be able to go to a game, and if you had 4 or more people in the car, you got it free.
Yeah, you could bring your own food in, but it's all changed. Rick says Tyreek Hill doesn't want any attention, but he speaks about himself in the third person nickname, the cheetah. Cheetah doesn't want. Yeah. If you don't want any attention, then why aren't you more compliant? I mean, that's the way to make it go away really, really quick. Really, really quick. Good morning to you, Nathan Elliott. Says Nakobe Dean has officially beat out Devin White for the starting linebacker job in Philly. That's right, and that's what Sal Pal said. And isn't it funny how he got an ankle injury right after he got beat out? Just like what happened in Tampa Bay when he was told he's going to be a rotational. Oh, suddenly I'm hurt. And that's why he was deactivated. Nathan also mentioned that Vic Fangio said that White will be with the team for Monday Night Football against the Falcons. Okay.
What was that? What was that comment? I didn't see it.
Fangio told the press that White will be with the team this week as they go. No, they're at home. They're at home against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. Yeah, I think they're going to embarrass the Falcons. I mean, did you watch any of that?
I went back and watched the tape on Kirk Cousins, and he just doesn't have confidence in that leg right now. He doesn't step into some of his throws, and that's the problem at the moment.
All right, I got to play this video. This is from the 2510 podcast. This is former Buccaneers Deshaun Jackson, Shady McCoy, and Gerald McCoy talking about the infamous Eat the W speech. And Gerald will reveal that it almost got worse. Can you imagine it getting worse? Can you imagine it getting worse than that? Yes. Actually, I can't, but yes. And wait till he describes this. This is freaking hilarious. Enjoy.
All right, but it was a pregame speech.
New Orleans.
Saints.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
We
getting them dub. We eating them dub.
Oh, you was there for that?
Yeah. I'm the meme. Just looking at it, I'm like.
Me and Jay, I looked, I said, man, what the? I was like, dog, what is you doing? And I remember Cam Bray said,
tight end.
Yeah, he said, come on, Gerald, that's our quarterback. I said, man, shut up. I don't care about that. What you talking about? Why is he doing that? Which is the crazy part is, Quan was supposed to give the speech. Jameis pushed him out the way. I got it, Quan. Hold on. Then he did that. I was like,
what was going through your mind?
I was like, bro, what is he on?
What was going through your mind?
Bro, the thing is, this is where we at. I'm glad I'm not playing no more because we can just tell how it is.
We can just talk.
We got in the locker room. It got worse.
It did.
Oh, it got worse.
Yeah, it did.
Before we ran on the field, he was like, hey, this is one of them games. Sometimes you guys just pull it out and show them whose is bigger. Right before we ran on the field. Yo, hold on. I'm not lying. Am I lying? Am I lying?
Yo, no, you ain't
so
lying.
That whole day, people, all y'all know is to eat the W. Y'all don't know that whole day, bro. We had no shot to win that day.
Wait, so he went into the locker room. There's more to this story, by the way. Go to see the whole thing at 2510 podcast on YouTube. Like, so did he whip it out? Did he encourage others to whip it out? Like, what are we talking about here? Can you see that pregame speech?
Maybe
you got to just show who's what?
Maybe Jameis shouldn't be starting. I don't know. That's
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm never gonna side with Deshaun Jackson. I don't hate him, but he ruined this team. He ruined him and Chris Baker. He ruined Jameis. I'm telling you, Jameis.
Some dark times there. 2017 and 2018, not fun.
Like Jameis was on his way to be ruined. Deshaun threw gas on the fire by getting in Fitz's camp and like telling everybody, locker room lore that Fitz is better than Jameis and all this other. I'm like, oh my God, it was a disaster. And then now that made Jameis want to go out and improve it even more and force throws.
Jameis got hurt in that game, did he not? That was the game Jameis hurt his shoulder. That whole game, I have bad memories of it. The Bucs got their ass kicked. Jameis got hurt, and then we had that speech.
Don't you blaspheme eating W's. It's the greatest speech of all time. It's an iconic speech. When Jameis wins a Super Bowl, they need to that needs to be the statue. I'm sorry.
And I think last year Jameis explained it. Like he was on like Pardon My Take or something.
No, he did.
I think he said something like, "Yeah, I used to always grow up eating alphabet soup or something. And I used to always
So
I used to always take the W's out or something."
That's a thing. Alphabet soup was a thing. And he'd like, yeah, let's eat the W's today before we go out to, we're going to eat all the W's. So that's where that came from. It's like, bro, nobody knows that story. There's no, like, what are you doing?
Deshaun Jackson didn't want to hear that. I mean,
oh my God. And I remember that, like looking at that was a big thing because they put the video out and there's like half the team was just like looking at him like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you doing? And then the whole, it's just classic Jameis though. Come on. Other comments. James says, I like Bucs too, but now Kancey not playing. Is that true? What about Logan Hall? I mean, at some point, how can you stop a team with half your D out? Yeah. We're not going to know till Sunday,
David Montgomery
probably.
running at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kancey was unblockable. They had no answers to him. Bragnow, they had no answers to
what is it with what's with the calf injuries lately around the league? I mean, and they're knocking guys out for like like McCaffrey had a calf injury that he missed like 2 weeks of camp with that, and now he's out for the first 2 games of the season. Like Russell Wilson has the calf injury, and now Kancey. Like, I don't know what's going on with these calf injuries here.
Yeah. As Nathan says, Evans versus Davis, Evans. Godwin versus Davis, Godwin. Davis versus Turf. If Evans, Godwin, or McMillan are beating Davis, then Davis will be injured. Yeah, I think we can see that coming. Well said. What else we got?
Hey, we didn't play the Brant clip there, and I know you have to. I didn't know if you had time to play it because I know you got to get out early today.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play it now.
Yeah.
So this is Kyle Brandt making the case that Mike Evans is the greatest Buccaneer ever.
Tweet. I posted this on X, and my tweet was that I have a Mike Evans take. It's too hot for this platform, but I believe it. And so all these Bucs fans are saying, release the take, release it. We want to hear the take. Well, the take crystallized, I think, around the time this past week when he was scoring the second of 2 touchdowns and just another Mike Evans season, week 1, coming out, looking unstoppable, and him scoring the first touchdown, and then he just chinned it in with the second he didn't even need, but I decided he should have it anyway. So here's the take. First, let's just warm-up takes. I think Mike Evans was a Hall of Famer a couple of years ago. I do. I think last season he became a first ballot Hall of Famer after another 1,000-yard season, another playoff run. And I have to come around to the take. Here's the take. Mike Evans is the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneer of all time. And I'm going to get into it. He is the one. We have over a decade now of dominance and durability by one of the best dudes in any locker room. Now, you have to split hairs a little bit with a take like this between best Buck ever and greatest Buck ever. Has a Buccaneer ever been better at their position for a given time than Mike Evans? Maybe. But greatest, that term, I think it means ability, success, and dominance over a long period of time. You, as a football fan, likely know about the astounding stat of 10 straight years of 1,000-plus yards. Did you know, though, that in many of those years he played every single game and has never played fewer than 13 games in a season? The durability of Mike Evans is incredible. In a matter of weeks, he's going to catch his 100th touchdown. There are 8 wide receivers in history to hit 100. Every single one of them is in the Hall of Fame. Most of them first ballot or guys who should have been like Terrell Owens and guys who will be like Larry Fitzgerald. But I am aware that the second I say greatest Buccaneer ever, immediately you, the fan, think of 4 legends of Bucs past. I do too. Trust me. I grew up on Lynch and Barber and Brooks and Sapp. Those guys are action figures to me. They are heroes. Derek Brooks, a 5-time All-Pro. I'm very aware of that. I love Derek Brooks. I think each of those guys would openly admit that all of them being on the same team, in fact, the same side of the ball, created and crafted their greatness, and they played together through the greatest stretch of Bucs football, maybe any defensive football ever played. That was a hell of a group, and they won a lot. Mike Evans went 2-14, still bald. He went 5-11, still bald. Next year went 5-11 again, still bald. In just over 10 seasons, Mike Evans has had 4 head coaches, 6 offensive coordinators, 7 starting quarterbacks, and he's been amazing. And he's been great in huge games. His first ever playoff game in 2020 had 119 yards. His most recent playoff game against Detroit last year, he had 147 yards and a touchdown. And I think if you consider what current player on their current team is the greatest player in the history of that franchise, I think it's Patrick Mahomes and Mike Evans. I think that is the list. They are the greatest ever of their franchise now, and I think Mike Evans is that. He is big, he is fast, he is tough as hell, he doesn't get injured, he's beloved in the locker room and the community, and I think Mike Evans is the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneer of all time. Yeah.
I rest my case, Your Honor. That is a hard argument. He makes great arguments. And listen, I'm old school, so I'm going to cling to the older guys, right? But that's convincing. And as we said, he ain't done.
No.
Like, he's probably going to end his career. What is the NFL record for receiving touchdowns? I'll check.
I think it's like 150 something right now.
Yeah, I think it's Jerry Rice, 158. Yeah. But he's gonna, it's all injury based, right?
He's never been injured. He never misses games, really.
Right. So if he plays 3 more years at an average of 10, you're looking at 130 to 140, right? And then maybe he squeaks out a couple other seasons, because as big as he is, he can play a long time in this league. That's his where he's going to be on all the list is going to be top 5 in just about everything. So I'm sorry, Jerry. 197. Moss at 156.
197. Yeah,
197. Well, he played 20 years. So that's 10 more years. Does he get there? I don't know. Probably not. But he's not going to want to play 10 years. Chris Carter at 130. So it's pretty conceivable that he's gonna finish in the top. He's gonna be number 4 all time in receiving touchdowns. Number 4 all time. If he, just on
yardage, if he continues to do 1,000 every year, I think he's at what? Almost just short of 1,200 yards right now.
Yeah,
for his career, he could probably. He'll probably be what, top 5 in receiving yards too.
Yeah, and receiving yards. Let me see that. Receiving yards. So Rice is at 22.8.
Nobody's touching his records.
Fitz is at 17.4. And right now, is he not even in the top 20 yardage wise? Did I miss him? Hold on.
It gets stacked up a lot, but I think he's
where the hell is he?
He's at 11,741.
Yeah, he's the 33rd. But he'll jump if he gets to 12,000. If he can get to, oh God, yeah, he's going to pass everybody in the next year.
That's what I'm saying. He could get to 1,500 for sure, I think.
Yeah, and at 1,500, he's number 6 all time behind Tony Gonzalez. Isaac Bruce is number 5, Randy Moss number 4, T.O. number 3, Larry Fitz number 2, and Rice at the top. So you're looking at top 5, top 10, receiving yards. The Bucs don't have anybody in career categories except
Derek Brooks,
Levante David, and Derek Brooks in terms of tackles. Yeah. Levante David's going to be, in terms of career tackles, way up there.
I always thought when it regards to greatest Buccaneer of all time, it was going to take something really crazy to top Derek Brooks, because he's like top 3 inside linebackers of all time, probably on the consensus. But Mike Evans, the longevity that he's brought, the Super Bowl that he has, and obviously Brooks has that too, and what he meant to this franchise over the last 10 years. Jason likes first pick. Like to me, they were both like the start of two different eras for the Buccaneers. Derrick Brooks to me is the most influential Buck of all time because the Bucs sucked for every year except for like 3 years up to that point.
Agreed.
And him and Sapp together were the changing of the guard right there. And Mike Evans, like you don't have the success the Bucs have had recently without the Mike Evans being there in the locker room and enduring all that and right next to Levante David. So I do think Mike, I think we had this discussion last offseason. I think Mike has jumped. I think he's jumped Sapp. I think he's jumped Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's jumped Rondé. To me, the best three Bucs of all time are Brooks, in some order, Brooks, Evans, and I defer to Leroy Selman because I know a lot of people talk about Leroy Selman like he was like this. Like Bill Belichick referred to him in 2019 whenever he got named as one of the top 100 players of all time. Bill Belichick said he was the best 3-4 defensive end he's ever seen.
Wow.
And when Bill Belichick and Mean Joe Green said that as well. So when Bill Belichick says that, I listen. So I put Leroy in the top three.
Well, that's a great argument that Kyle made, and all we can say is just keep enjoying this dude because he's nowhere near finished, and it's fantastic to watch, and just and a better human being if you can imagine that. All right, one more break here. Nick's going to come back. I got to get out to Bucs to get some interviews today. Nick's going to come back and preview the UCF game. Who you guys got this week?
Oh, we got TCU.
That's a big game
there on the road to Fort Worth.
Yeah, okay. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source at Italiano Insurance, the Geddes Gordon Group, and also Third Generation Plumbing. If you have any plumbing or AC needs, they are the folks to go to, trusted for generations after generations. That's why they call them thirdgenerationplumbing.com is the website. Go there, Google them, and if you need AC or plumbing, they are the folks to call. Very, very trusted group over there. John Rodriguez, the owner, good friend of the program. So give him a call and tell him JP sent you. Nick will be back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on Thursday. JP had to cut out early because he's going to head over to One Buck to get some of the action there that's going on and some of the interviews as well to bring some original coverage to the show for tomorrow. So I'll take it home for the rest of the show here. We just had a good discussion right there. Kyle Brandt making his hot take that Mike Evans is the greatest Buccaneer of all time. And I mean, it's all very subjective. We sort of just went through some of the arguments right there. You could argue it's Derek Brooks. You can argue it's Mike Evans. You can argue it's Leroy. You can argue it's Rondé. And all those sort of things have merit to them. But Mike Evans in general, and I said this on Monday, I can't think of a player, and I know that we have the benefit of watching him for the past decade, but I can't think of a player who's had a Hall of Fame career like he's had and has relatively gone unnoticed in the public eye. And I don't know what it is about Mike Evans. Like, is he not flashy enough for people? Is it the fact that he plays in Tampa Bay? I mean, I wish I knew the answer, but he always seems to slip through the cracks when people talk about the great wide receivers in the NFL, and it's always been that way. But the guy just produces no matter who it is, from playing with Josh McCown and Mike Glennon to Jameis to Fitzpatrick to Brady, and obviously now to Baker Mayfield. So he just always produces. He's great for this community. He's great for this team. He's a first ballot person, as much of a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I appreciate that it seems like finally now at this stage in his career, he's starting to get his due. So we love that. JP mentioned UCF playing TCU. I did have a comment here from More Right Rudder. Nick, thoughts on UCF? I like TCU money line. Would love to hear your thoughts. Should be a good game. I mean, I've been saying this, and we have a podcast, the Charge on UCF podcast on YouTube. Please, if you're a UCF fan, subscribe and listen to us. We just did our preview show yesterday for TCU and sort of dove in, but I will say I think this is the first game where you're really going to learn about UCF. New Hampshire and Sam Houston State, with all respect to those programs, they didn't really provide much resistance to UCF, but I think some of the things you were looking to see, the defense under Ted Roof, they look a lot faster. They're tackling a lot better. The linebacker play between Ethan Barr, Deshaun Pace, and X3 Alexander has been, I think, really, really strong so far. TCU's got this quarterback, Josh Hoover, who's a sophomore, and he's had a hot start to the season. TCU throws a lot. They don't have the greatest running game. They don't run block particularly well, but they have kept Hoover upright. He hasn't been sacked once this season. UCF struggled to play on the road last year in Big 12 play. That was a real thing. You think about Kansas State, you think about Oklahoma, you think about getting blown out by Kansas. So the Texas Tech game where Boomer missed the extra point. So UCF's got to prove they can win on the road in Big 12 play. But what's encouraging is they brought in all these transfers, and it's not working out for Florida State. We all know that. But for UCF's sake, the transfers they've brought in, they have 6 guys starting on defense who are transfers, and through 2 games and against New Hampshire and Sam Houston State, they have all looked the part. So to me, that's what gives me confidence that this defense is different under Ted Roof, but we're going to find out here against the TCU offense, which, like I said, loves to throw the football. But UCF, if they're going to win this football game, they gotta lean on that running game. For those of you who don't follow UCF as much, I'm here to tell you, and this is a completely non-biased take, UCF has the best rushing attack in college football. They are averaging 419 yards on the ground through their first 2 games. They have a 4 running back rotation. RJ Harvey, get to know the name, learn it. He's fantastic. And this transfer from Cincinnati, Miles Montgomery, is awesome as well. And then Penny Boone and Johnny Richardson. It is a really, really strong running back room. I could be the best in the entire nation. So that's going to be the recipe for UCF to win that football game. But I think that's going to be that way for the rest of the season. So Should be a fun one up there in Fort Worth. And just looking at this college football slate this weekend in general, it's kind of interesting because we only have 2 ranked matchups this week. And one of them is in the Big 12 between Arizona and Kansas State, 2 teams who both had Big 12 title game aspirations. And I mean, they're both still 2-0, so they still do have those aspirations, but they haven't exactly looked great. Arizona was in a dogfight with Northern Arizona. Yikes. And then Kansas State, obviously last week going up against Tulane, which might be one of the better teams in the American Conference, but with a true freshman quarterback, you would expect a little bit better of a performance from Kansas State's defense. You did not get that. Avery Johnson, they're not really running him as much, and maybe they were saving something for Arizona, so we'll see how they use Avery Johnson in this game, but they lost a lot of talent to the NFL. You think of Ben Sinnott, you think of Cooper Beebe on the offensive line, so that should be a fun and interesting one. And the only other ranked game this weekend, and I can't believe, I don't think anybody had this as a ranked matchup in week 3, but it's Boston College at Missouri. Missouri right now ranked number 6 in the nation. I think the last time Missouri was ranked this high was probably that 2013 season. That's the days when Michael Sam was the best player in the on defense in the SEC, I believe, at that time. So it's been a while for Missouri, but very potent offense. With Brady Cook throwing the football, Luther Burden might be the best receiver in all of college football, going to be a top 10 pick next year. Boston College, we saw what they did to Florida State, so this is going to be a big, big test for them. They are on the road in this, so that's a 12:45 kickoff on the SEC network, but somehow looks like it's the best game on paper. Alabama travels to Wisconsin. Love that out-of-conference matchup right there. I don't know I think Wisconsin is much better than they were last year. I think very highly of Luke Fickell as a head coach. And Alabama, we saw them obviously in USF. They were in a dogfight, once 1-point game in the fourth quarter against USF. And Alabama, I think, has issues in their defensive backfield. If you go back and watch that Western Kentucky game, there were some openings downfield, and unfortunately, Western Kentucky is just not the team that's going to exploit that. And USF, as you saw, they dialed up plays. Alex Golish dialed up plays to get the guys open down the field, and unfortunately, Byron Brown just could not hit them. And if Byron Brown hits one of them, it might be a different football game. So I think as Alabama continues to go through their schedule, and we know it's going to get a lot harder in SEC play, you're going to see teams that I think can exploit them on the back end there. So I think they should be okay against Wisconsin, but I think this game is going to be very, very tight. I know Alabama is a 16-point favorite. I'm actually going to take Wisconsin on the money line there. I think they keep it close. I think Wisconsin is pretty good defensively as well. Just a whole sign of where we are in week 3. Like I said, it's not the greatest slate of games. The college game day game is LSU at South Carolina, and it's so funny because South Carolina in week 1 did not look great in victory. Lenora Sellers, their first-year quarterback, did not play well, but then last week they totally dispatched Kentucky 31-6, and Kentucky's losing their mind now. Mark Stoops, all of a sudden, is he on the hot seat? Kind of crazy, right? But South Carolina goes from not looking great in week 1 and people going, oh, that's one of the worst teams in the SEC, to week 3, they're hosting College Game Day. I don't know. They stack up pretty well against LSU. I thought LSU in a defeat on the opening game against USC looks pretty darn good. Garrett Nussmeier provided you everything you needed to see there. Kyron Lacey on the outside is a fantastic receiver. I think LSU rolls in this game. I don't really trust South Carolina right now at this point. I think LSU is a pretty good team, so I think LSU rolls in that football game. The other game that I am keeping an eye on is number 9 Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon, through the first 2 games, it's been really, really odd. They had to struggle to beat Idaho at home, and then they faced Boise State. And yes, Boise State is perhaps the best Group of 5 team in college football, or whatever we're calling it, in all of college football. And Ashton Genty, as we all saw, is the best running back in college football, and that's a legit NFL dude. And right now, that dude, if he continues this pace, he's going to be up for the Heisman Trophy. Don't think he'll win it, regardless of what he does, because he's a running back, and he plays for Boise State. But he is a true Heisman caliber guy, and like I said, he'll be in the NFL next year. There's no doubt about it. But Oregon had to strain to beat Idaho. They had to strain to beat Boise State, game-winning field goal at home. And now they go on the road, and they're facing Oregon State. Now, Oregon State, they lost a lot of that production from last year's team that was pretty good under Jonathan Smith, first-year head coach over there. But this is a rivalry game. And in the last 4 years, they have completely split the rivalry. Oregon State won in 2020 and in 2022 by 3 and 4 points, respectively. In 2021, they lost by 9 in Eugene, and then they got blown out last year, obviously 31-7. So the last 2 meetings that were in Corvallis, Oregon State won that football game. And if Oregon doesn't show up to play, they will lose a football game at some point, and they might lose more because their schedule is no joke. They're now playing a Big Ten schedule, and they got a lot of big opponents awaiting them in the wings, but I don't think it's a guarantee that they go into Corvallis and just win that game. I mean, they're definitely going to have to show up, and I think Dylan Gabriel's actually played, pretty darn well, but the guys around him have not really showed up to play so far. So Dan Lanning and Oregon have a lot to prove this week against their rival in Oregon State. So that'll be fun. I did want to talk about Colorado. I mean, everybody's talking about Colorado. Sometimes the coverage can get nauseating, and I'm sure most would probably feel the same because they're not a great football team. They're not a good football team. I don't even know if they're an average football team at this point. It's just so much noise always coming out of Colorado. I think very self-inflicted from Dion and the Colorado program, the criticism they get in the media, and it's because Dion cashes a lot of checks that his team has not been able to write and deliver on so far. And against Nebraska, and I think Nebraska is actually really, really good this year. Okay. I do believe that. But they were non-competitive in that football game. I know the defense played well in the second half, but they were non-competitive when that game mattered. And now they play Colorado State. So they play their rival. It's at Colorado State. We saw the game last year these two teams played, which was one of the games of the year, if you recall. That game was on ESPN. It kicked off at like 10 o'clock Eastern time and went till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I could not turn it off. It was a very enthralling watch, and Colorado won in overtime. Colorado State, though, to start the season, looks really, really bad. Really, really bad. Like, now they had to play Texas in week 1 in Austin. And I'm not saying Colorado State ever should have been in contention to win that football game, but I thought they would have put in a little bit of a better effort than losing 52-0 and looking as just dysfunctional as they did. And then last week they played Northern Colorado, so a nobody, but I don't think they were even great in that game either. So, but I think they're going to be up for this one. You're already starting to see the trash talking started to ensue because these two programs do not like each other. We saw it last year. There's certainly some friction there, it would appear, between Jay Norvell, the head coach of Colorado State, and Deion Sanders. So it's going to be a fun watch. And all I'll say about Colorado, if they don't win this football game, it's going to get bad and it's going to get ugly real quick in Boulder. Because if you lose this football game, that is a clear signal to everyone watching that you have gone backwards in year 2. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that way when you go into year 2 and you're somehow worse. And yet, I think Colorado rather, is on the brink of looking that way. If they lose a game to Colorado State, who, like I said, has not looked good in their own right, that's a clear signal that Colorado is going in a backwards direction, and that's not going to be great. And the pressure is going to be turned up even more than it already is. The criticism is going to be turned up even more than it already is. And people are starting to question when Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter head off to the NFL next year, what's Deion Sanders going to do? How long is he going to be around? I mean, he's not exactly killing it on the recruiting trail, which I thought was going to be his strength as a head coach. And it's been very bizarre to watch him sort of navigate through that. So as far as I'm concerned, this is as must win as it gets for Colorado in this football game. So I'll have my eye on that. On the local scene, we know Florida State is back this week. I don't know. They're at home against Memphis, noon kickoff. I don't know what to expect from this Florida State team at the moment. There's like part of me that thinks that They're going to get it together. It can't be as bad as it was in Boston College. You had a week off to sort of regroup, do some self-evaluation, and what team are you going to be the rest of the year? Because similar to how I said Colorado, this is a must-win. This is a must-win for Florida State. You cannot go 0-3 to start the season with losses to Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis. That just cannot happen. Even for the issues that Florida State has, you'd like to think on paper they should be the more physical football team. They should be the more talented football team. But, as you know, when kickoff happens, some of that stuff goes out the window. And Florida State has not looked physical at all in the first 2 games. They cannot run the football whatsoever. DJU had to throw 40 times in that game against Boston College. That's not why DJU was brought in. I mean, I've advocated for just completely saying, you know what? Screw it. DJU's not the future of this program. He's going to be gone after this year. He's not performing well. I got to see what I have in Brock Lynn or Luke Cromanhope. Now, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that right now. And I know everybody says, well, Glenn hasn't looked good in practice. DJ's been better. We saw Glenn last year, how it went in those circumstances. But I mean, if you're telling me DJU's looked good in practice, I really don't care because he hasn't looked good in the game. So Florida State's got to find some resemblance of a running game at the end of the day, because if you're relying on DJU to win games with his arm, it's just not going to happen. Florida State doesn't have the guys on the perimeter to beat teams either. So this is going to be a very telling of where Florida State is, because if they go 0-3 to start the season, I think some would argue you're already waving the white flag on them this season, but that would be the death knell. So it's going to be tough for Florida State this week. And then Florida as well, equally as important for Billy Napier and co. They host Texas A&M. I think Florida actually has a shot in this game, because I'm starting to learn that Texas A&M's offense just isn't very good at all. I had a lot of belief in Connor Wigman, that him being healthy, like there was a lot of NFL draft buzz on him. I mean, he was completely overwhelmed at home against Notre Dame. So I don't know how I feel about that Texas A&M offense. So I think Florida is going to have a shot to win this football game. They have it at home. Texas A&M is only a 3-point favorite. It sounds, according to Billy Napier, like DJ Lagway and Graham Mertz are both going to play in this football game. I sort of said on Monday, just give the reins to DJ Lagway. Like, it's nothing against Graham Mertz, but I got to see what I have in this. I have to sell hope. I have to do all that. And I truly believe behind Florida's offensive line, the way DJ Lagway can at least move around in the pocket a little bit and create things with his legs, that he's a better fit right now for what Florida needs to win football games. And we know how important it is that Florida sort of gets to, 5-2. And I don't know if that's doable, but 5-2 before they hit those last 5 games on their schedule. And I think DJ Lagway gives them the best chance for that, but they're both going to play in this game. It's a big test either way for Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. I mean, we're gonna know for sure, I think, who quarterback 1 is coming out of this game. So that'll all work itself out. But tough thing is, it's like, what if Graham Mertz? I'm assuming Graham Mertz gets to start in this game, and what happens if Graham Mertz starts and the offense goes 3 and out and it looks dysfunctional? Like, are you going to lose the crowd early? Are they going to start chanting for Lagway? Like, it's going to create a pretty hostile situation there in Gainesville. So, similar to how Florida State is in that sort of no man's land direction, Florida's kind of teetering on that as well. So we'll see what happens in that one. But both of those games should be very, very interesting to keep an eye on this weekend. And then USF, they have a nightcap on the road against Southern Miss. For you Florida State fans out there, Tate Rodemaker is the quarterback for Southern Miss. He entered the portal and obviously landed over there. So USF goes on the road for the second consecutive game. And for them, it's all about the follow-up. You played Alabama really, really well. You can argue that you had a chance to win that football game and it got away from you in those last 6 minutes. And I know Alex Golesh he's really, really bothered by that and, took some of the blame for that as a coach, and as he should. with some of the decisions that he made late in that football game, but it's all about the follow-up. If it doesn't matter if you go play Alabama tough and then the week after you go against Southern Miss and you lose that football game. That to me, just that, then you're 1-2. You still got to play Miami, and there's a chance where you're chasing wins to get back into the American hunt. So I do think USF ends up winning this football game. They are 11-point favorite in this one. I think they probably win by more. I don't like Southern Miss is particularly. I think they're probably a very middling football team. So I think USF probably gets that done, and they probably improve to 2-1 in that one. And then the last in-state, Miami is at home against Ball State. They're going to run right over them and continue on. And they're ranked number 10 right now, maybe a chance to move up even further in the top 10. So there you go. There's the college football slate for this weekend. And of course, we're going to be keeping our eye on the Bucs. JP's going to be back tomorrow with Tin Ham, and they'll do a even further breakdown of this Buccaneers-Lions game. And hopefully we have some more indication on who's going to play in this football game and who's not going to play in this football game for both sides. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to be locked into it on Sunday, and I'll be back on Monday, and hopefully we'll be breaking down a Buccaneer victory. So y'all have a good rest of your Thursday. Have a great weekend enjoying the college football and NFL slate, and I will see you all on Monday.